Hey everybody, welcome back to Fed by Fire. I'm Christian Whitlow, and as always, let's start with a quick disclaimer. I'm not an expert or a professional, I'm just someone who has seen addiction and crime firsthand. This channel shares real experiences and stories for awareness and discussion. Nothing here is intended to promote or condone any type of illegal activity. So grab a seat, get comfy, because today we're just gonna sit and walk through 3 huge cases that all popped or moved forward in the exact same week. One up in Anchorage, Alaska, where a guy got sentenced today to over 13 years in federal prison, and then 2 right here south of me in Metro Atlanta, where 2 different 20-somethings just got slammed with federal charges and for moving massive loads through everyday suburban spots. I'm gonna lay every single detail out nice and slow, step by step, so you can picture these scenes playing out in your head exactly like they happened. No rush at all. From the airports to the parking lots to the apartments to the traffic stops to the jail intake rooms, we will talk about all of it and feel the weight of how much product was moving and really get what the volume actually means for the real people in these communities and in these neighborhoods. Because when you put these 3 cases together, they paint such a clear picture of where the game is in this day and time. And, it's not a corner dealing anymore. It's branded, industrialized, cross-country stuff reaching places that most folks never even thought about, like inside jail walls. By the time we're done, you'll see exactly why law enforcement is pushing the Fentanyl-Free America initiative so hard, and why every one of these takedowns still feels like they're only scratching the surface. Let's kick it off in Anchorage, Alaska, because today, March 13, 2026, is the day Richard Fry officially got sentenced. So, picture this, late March 2023 up in Anchorage, still freezing cold, cars idling in the airport, pickup lanes with the heat cranked. Richard Fry is 37, and court docs say that he's tied into a drug trafficking crew supposedly run by a California inmate sitting in a cell down south. And their whole thing is flooding Alaska with fetty, ice, and H. March 23rd, 2023 rolls around and Fry and his co-defendant Tiffany Couch, she's 32, are driving their other co-conspirator Anna Petla, 26, over to Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport. And they pull up to the departure curb, drop her off just like a regular friend heading out on a trip. But Petla's not traveling light. She's got nearly 3,000 dirty 30s and over 80 G's of ice stuffed on her, all headed to Sandpoint for street level sales. Imagine her walking through that terminal, she's heading through security or, to her gate when law enforcement steps right up and, contacts her inside the airport and finds everything. Nearly 3,000 tiny blue pills. Each one is a lethal dose so small that you could fit dozens on a fingernail. Plus the ice was all seized. Now, swing the camera back outside to the curb. Fry and Couch are still sitting in their car, probably thinking that the drop went perfect. Nope, the cops walk straight up to them, detain both of them, and search them right there. They search the vehicle in the pickup lane and pull out another 500 plus blue fetty pills and over 40 G's of other stuff. That's round 1. One airport run shut down cold, but the network keeps rolling. Fast forward to June 9th, 2023, another normal day in Anchorage. Fry and Couch are in a car again in a routine traffic stop, except Fry's got an active warrant. And, the second those lights hit, the mirror, he tries to bolt, but the officer stopped him anyway, searched the car on the side of the road, and boom, roughly 1,400 more dirty 30s and another 12 G's of other drugs and 2 loaded magazines. And prosecutors were clear in court that Richard Fry planned to distribute every single pill and gram from both those stops, the airport load and the traffic stop load. Thousands of blues headed for Anchorage streets and beyond. And here's where it gets even darker. After the June 9th arrest, Fry gets booked into the Anchorage Correctional Complex. During intake, the body scan lights up that there's something weird in his stomach, and it turns out right before they took him in, he'd swallowed fetty and Suboxone wrapped in cellophane and condoms. His plan to smuggle it inside the jail and sell it. And he posts state bail and gets out. First thing he does is picks up a phone and calls the guy that they say runs the whole organization. And the call is being recorded and they're talking strategy. And Fry straight up tells him that they need more Suboxone strips smuggled back into the jail because these are his exact words. The stuff was going for $300 a piece right now. Inside, $300 per strip is what he's saying. The prison markup is wild. June 23rd, a state judge orders him detained again. 2 days later, on June 25th, officers catch him trying to bring about 70 Suboxone strips in his body into the same jail. To distribute on the inside. Between December 2022 and March 2023, he got $8,000 from the proceeds of what he was able to smuggle in the first time. And, in the same time, he got 9 transfers, totaling back to more than thousands of dollars just to keep the pipeline fed. Today, March 13, 2026, Richard Fry got hit with more than 13 years in federal prison. His co-defendants had already pled and were sentenced. Tiffany Couch got 4 years plus 3 of supervised release back on February 5th. Anna Petla got the same 4 years and 3 when she comes home on October 28, 2025. Both guilty to conspiracy to distribute and possess with intent to distribute. And DEA Special Agent in charge, Robert Saccone from the Seattle, nailed it, that this defendant's actions show the lengths that traffickers will go to peddle poison in correctional facilities and in our communities. Alaska cases like this demonstrate the DEA's unwavering commitment to disrupting, the opioid epidemic and the supply chains, holding everyone who distributes this shit accountable, through enforcement, education, and awareness, and strong partnerships. They say that they're working every day towards a fentanyl-free America, and that together, they say that we can protect our communities and save American lives. And U.S. Attorney Scott Bradford for Oregon added that with today's sentence, we are one step closer to dismantling Alaska's drug trafficking enterprise. I'm grateful for collaboration between local, state, and federal partners. And that's the whole Anchorage story for tonight. Airport drop-offs, swallowed product, prison smuggling for $300 strips, thousands of blue pills grabbed in regular cars. You can see every moment, right? Now, let's jump across the country to Metro Atlanta, where the same week dropped 2 more cases that hit different vibes but show the same exact shift in the game. The first one, Martin Armando Gonzalez Martinez, 22, originally from Oaxaca, Mexico. Prosecutors say he's an illegal alien who crossed the southwest border years ago. And then he started distributing drugs, including fetty, around Atlanta. So picture this: March 4th, 2026, daytime, a regular strip mall parking lot in Monroe, Georgia, the kind you drive by every day on the way to work or the store. Gonzalez Martinez shows up for a deal. He's there to sell about 4 kilos of purple fetty, almost 9 pounds of powder, dyed purple, all packaged up. A customer rolls in. Gonzalez Martinez opens his backpack right there in the open and shows the product, plain view, no back alley, nothing. As soon as he turns back to his car, DEA agents swarm. They've been watching the whole time. They arrest him on the spot. The backpack is full of suspected fetty, full 4 kilos. And last week he went before a U.S. magistrate on a criminal complaint for possession with intent to distribute fetty. And the U.S. Attorney Theodore Hertzberg put it plain that fetty is so extremely dangerous that just a couple milligrams can be lethal, and that my office proudly partners with law enforcement to identify, arrest, and prosecute individuals who, illegally are in our country illegally, that could potentially kill thousands of Americans every year. Another person, DA Special Agent in charge Jay Chung in Atlanta, said fetty traffickers continue to push dangerous, deceptive products into our communities, and the distribution of kilograms of purple fetty represents a significant threat. And these federal charges reflect, our commitment to protect the public and disrupt the organizations. As part of the DEA's Fentanyl Free America initiative, we'll keep working with partners to stop fentanyl at every level. So, you can picture it so easy. One guy, one backpack, one everyday parking lot. 4 kilos that could have hit the street in Atlanta and, been like a nuclear bomb. Now the third one. Same city, same week, even bigger, even slicker. Kevin Martinez, 20, living in a Doraville apartment. Feds say he was taking orders straight from La Nueva Familia, a Mexican cartel the U.S. has labeled a terrorist organization, and his stuff had a signature. Fetty stamped with a Pac-Man character literally eating the letters LV like a brand logo on the poison. So go back to February 4th, 2026, a routine traffic stop in Fulton County. Officers pull over a car and find 6 pounds of this exact Pac-Man stamped fetty. 2 weeks later, February 18th, another stop in Henry County, another 6 pounds of the same stamped stuff. Now, agents see the pattern and they get a federal search warrant. March 6th, they hit Kevin Martinez's apartment in Doraville, just, a regular suburban complex where folks go to work, come home, grill on the weekends. They go inside and start searching. Hidden in a hollowed out car battery they find that you'd find anywhere, they pull out 40 more pounds of the exact same Pac-Man fetty plus 6 firearms, a money counter, right there in his apartment. Total across the 3 hits is 50 pounds of fetty. 50 pounds, enough to kill hundreds of thousands if it hits the streets. Kevin Martinez appeared in federal court today, March 13th, on the complaint charging with possession with intent to distribute fetty. U.S. Attorney Hertzberg Martinez allegedly worked on behalf of a terrorist drug cartel flooding our communities with massive quantities of lethal fetty. And thanks to law enforcement's tireless work, Martinez is in custody and the cartel's drugs are off the street. Agent Chung, again, this arrest shows DEA's commitment to combating the opioid crisis. The distribution of fetty poses extreme danger, and through the Fentanyl America initiative, we're intensifying efforts nationwide to keep our streets So the same message in both these cases. You see the agents prying open those car batteries in his apartment, dust and plastic everywhere, brick after brick stamped with the Pac-Man logo coming out. And that's not no amateur stuff, that's pro level. And a quick legal note, on the Atlanta cases. These cases are criminal complaints only. Kevin Martinez and Martin Armando Gonzalez Martinez are presumed innocent. The government has not proved guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Fry's case is done. He's already sentenced. But, let's sit with all three together and talk about what they really mean for, everyone, and look at the tactics, the airport handoffs in plain sight, the purple fetty to make it pop or to make it look different, the Pac-Man stamps so buyers know the brand and trust it, car batteries for hiding the long haul loads, cases where they're swallowing the product to get it into jails, recorded calls sending up $300 a strip prison sales, digital transfers wiring thousands back and forth. The players, a 37-year-old linked to a California prison boss, a 22-year-old who crossed the border years ago and built a network in Atlanta, and a 20-year-old local kid allegedly running for a terrorist cartel. Different ages, different backgrounds, different cities, but all using the same modern playbook. This is a game no one wins. Cartels treat fetty like a legit product. They brand it, they color it, they package it for markets, and they hide it in everyday stuff, and even charge premium inside prisons for other drugs where the demand is locked in. And they recruit these young guys who blend into any suburb, and they run multiple pipelines, so when one gets hit, others keep flowing. And that's why, they say this initiative is so important. In every press release, they're hitting every level. Street, stash houses, airports, prison, because the volume is still huge. And the methods keep getting smarter, faster, and, most people can't keep up. These cases matter because the numbers are real and the product is off the street. In Anchorage, thousands of pills, plus swallowed loads, plus 70 strips, stopped. Mora with 4 kilos of purple in one backpack. And then in Doraville, 50 pounds pulled from car batteries in an apartment. And that's real death that won't reach people. Families who won't get a knock at the door this month because those shipments are gone. But the machine is still pumping. In 3 cases in 1 week tells you supply is still heavily smuggling into jails for $300 a piece. Shows how they've adapted to pressure by building captive markets. A 20-year-old in a quiet Atlanta apartment with 50 pounds and car batteries. That's some pro-grade concealment if you ask me. If you're in Georgia or Alaska or anywhere, the landscape's changed. The person moving this, might be your quiet neighbor. The car at the airport might be, the one you walk past. The backpack in the lot might belong to the guy who just parked next to you. But what's the reality? These cases make you see if you or anyone is struggling with addiction, the national helpline is right there. 1-800-662-HELP. Free, confidential, 24/7. Call it. No judgment, just for help. If these hit for you, or you lost someone or know someone fighting and you see the pattern in your city, drop in the comments. I want to hear from you. I read every single one of these. So, you're not alone. Your voice matters. And if you want this channel to keep dropping, these, turning these cases into stories, hit the like button. Every case, the Alaska, the Atlanta, wherever. Do me a solid and subscribe if you want to. There's one more thing that I want to say. If you want to get into what's really happening, we're tracking the pattern case by case, because the pattern is what's killing people. And, seeing it clearly, how we break it, 3 pipelines shut down this week and the fight keeps going. But before we wrap this up, one more thing. I just want to say something a little personal. I've seen this world up close. I've seen the color of dope change. Everyone you can imagine. Pink, purple, blue, green. People brand it like it's some kind of product line. Like it's candy. But the truth is, it's all the same thing. Death. I've been around it. I've watched people use it. I've been in that chair. I've seen what it does to people. Those little blue pills people call dirty 30s, most of the time, they're not real Percocet, and we all know that. They're fetty pressed in somebody's garage or basement. And those same pills is what killed my aunt. So when we talk about these federal cases, when we talk about seizures, indictments, and sentences, this isn't just numbers to me. These drugs don't just move through cities and neighborhoods, They move through families. And, you can brand it pink, purple, whatever you want. At the end of the day, it's still the same gamble. A temporary high or death for someone else. And that's it for today's deep dive. If you've made it all the way to the end, I really appreciate you being here and spending your time with me. Before we go, I want to say something real quick. My name is Christian, and Fed by Fire is still something that I'm building from the ground up right now. I'm doing these videos in my free time while I'm working a factory job every day, grinding out until my balls drag the floor. I'm grateful for the work. I'm happy to do it. But the truth is, my dream is for this platform to grow into something much bigger. One thing I really want is to start, bringing real people onto the channel. If you've lived an interesting life in any type of way, if you've been through something wild, difficult, inspiring, or just unique, I want to hear your story. We can sit down and talk, or if you're somewhere else, I'm open to coming to you and filming. Where you're at. The whole idea is simple. We take a look at life through your eyes and let people hear it from the source. If that sounds like something that you'd want to be a part of, reach out to me. Your story could be one of our next episodes. And for everyone watching, you're part of this too. Every view, every like, every comment helps this thing grow just a little bigger. So subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a comment. I want to hear from you and let me know what you think about the cases we've covered today and what you'd like to hear us cover in the future. This is Fed by Fire. Stay safe out there. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.